Hi, Chloe. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Turtle Optimist podcast. I'm really looking forward to learning more from you. So, why don't we just start off by you introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about you?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me to join you. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited for you to be starting this new venture.
Mhm.
Congratulations. Um, I am Chloe. I'm a lifelong passionate dancer, and I'm a mermaid. And as you and
Awesome.
I discussed a bit, I um, have been engaging in what I call a joy practice for a while now, but it definitely has evolved and grown. Really, I was going to say during lockdown, but maybe lockdown and beyond.
I know that you and I met. I actually attended an event that was hosted at our local library called the Joy Circle. And you hosted that. And it really was the impetus for me to start this podcast. And so I definitely wanted to have you on here so we could just talk about that. So, for listeners unfamiliar with the concept, what can you explain about the Joy Circle? Like, what is it and how does it function?
Sure. So I think I mentioned to you individually and also at the Joy Circle, I took an online course with Kelly McGonigal after coming across her work. I think a couple of years ago. She is a Stanford researcher, and she has written more than one book, but The Joy of Movement is a book that I was turned on to that she had authored. And I attended some virtual events of hers and was just really blown away by her and her research around joy. And um, I was really inspired to share a lot of what I had learned in the online course, and that dovetailed with some reading I had been doing around the epidemic of loneliness that our
Mm.
society in general has identified, and I was experiencing a certain amount of loneliness, certainly during lockdown, but really an ongoing challenge, I think, for a lot of adults in America, and yes, older adults and also younger adults and, kids. So I started thinking about how could I um, create a program in which I could share some of what I had learned about joy and bring people together because connection is a key source of joy.
Mhm.
Um, and so I offered 3 sessions as that part of that program, and um, went through a lot of what I had learned from Kelly McGonigal, but also other sources. And then we had you join, which was really wonderful. I got a tremendous amount of feedback from people, positive feedback about how transformative it had been for them, which was really validating what I think I already knew, but it validated that when we bring people together and when we share our joy and our humanity, we really um, have a tremendous benefit for everything, our
Mhm.
emotions, our physiologies.
I know that when you and I had emailed back and forth, you had mentioned that your joy journey influences various aspects of your life. So you mentioned you were a dancer, so you are a dancer. So from dance to expressing gratitude, can you share a specific example of how one of those practices has unexpectedly brought others joy?
Um, yes, great question. I started wearing a Santa hat. I realized it's been almost 20 years. And I bought it on a whim when I was shopping with my daughters almost 20 years ago. There were Santa hats right by the checkout, and I bought it, and I initially only wore it in a more limited way, but then eventually embraced it. And so I've been wearing my Santa hat as I've been out and about for, I don't know, 4 or 6 weeks around the holidays. And I've just, I think that's been one of the highlights of my life because um, I like wearing it, but the number of connections that I've had um, with strangers, really, I mean,
Mhm.
it's people I know too, but um, has been really mind-boggling for me. And as far as the unexpected aspect, I've been really surprised by how many people thank me. Like
Mm.
people thank me when I'm out and like on a sidewalk. And
Hmm.
also I've had, even recently, I was in a shop in our town a couple of days ago, and one of the staff people said she'd missed seeing me wear my Santa hat. And it's just because I hadn't been in when she was in, because I have been wearing it. And when I used to have it, when I was having it dry cleaned, the woman there said she looked forward to my coming in every year with the Santa hats.
Oh my
So
gosh.
great. But
Yeah.
so that's been unexpected. And I think I guess and it's I guess a question of scope, that how much people react to it. So I've had so many incidental conversations where people have talked to me or told me about what they want for Christmas, or I find that people are extra kind or generous, like make running to hold the door for me. I've joked about the fact that I'm not actually connected to Santa, like I'm not
Right.
in, but anyway, that's probably been a standout example for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I really like that because I think sometimes with the comment of someone saying like, "I miss you not wearing the Santa hat," or "I haven't seen you in a while," sometimes we think we're doing something and we don't know if it's really making an impact. And then it's like someone mentions it and it's like, "Oh, okay, I guess this is really impacting them in a beneficial way."
Yes, and I that's a great point. There were a number of times when I have not felt like wearing. I haven't felt very um buoyant.
Santa E.
Yeah, but I put it on, and inevitably, I would say probably without exception, I've had something happen where someone has said it made their day, or it's like I've thought, okay, message received, just keep wearing it. Yeah.
Right, right. Awesome. That's awesome. You had mentioned that you were inspired by Kelly McGonigal's work on the science and practice of joy. So, what is one key takeaway from her research or the course that significantly impacted your own joy practice, and how have you put that into action?
Um, a key takeaway for me was that we really have an active role to play with joy. And I think I, like many people I've talked to, felt like I've waited for joy to happen to me,
Mm-hmm,
and waiting for Godot. And really, what we can do is we can actively cultivate joy with a number of different practices, which, I'm sure you and your listeners do anyway, maybe not consciously, but, turning on your favorite song, or having your favorite little treat for dessert, or going for a walk in nature. All of those things are sources of joy, but we can actually, do that very intentionally on a frequent and maybe even regular basis, where we go out, or we don't have to go out, where we do something that is something that provides us joy, and then experience the joy and harness it.
mm-hmm,
So you don't just like, oh, let the joy go. You savor it. You think about it afterwards. When we recall memories of joyful moments, like at the end of the day when you're lying in bed trying to go to sleep, if you think about something that brought you joy, it will
mm-hmm,
imprint that memory even more deeply, and help you, or your physiology will also respond in a positive way. So that active role that we have available to us was something I hadn't really thought about, and that
mm-hmm.
has been huge. That's been a game changer for me. So I now actively, on a regular basis, especially if I'm feeling either low or discouraged or sluggish, I will think, what could bring me joy right now? And I think that that's related to a second. I know you only wanted one, but I'm going to squeak one in.
No, bring it on.
Thank you. The other thing is that joy happens in bursts. And I think that what a lot of, well, certainly what I thought was, I wanted to have experience joy and then sustain it. Like,
Mhm,
but joy is, at least through Kelly McGonigal's framework and others, joy is different from happiness. So joy is something that it's a moment of seeing a breathtaking sunset, or connecting with an old friend that you've run into unexpectedly, and you feel whatever that is, like effervescence, or warmth around your heart. People feel joy in different places, maybe warmth in your face, and that benefits our physiologies, and then it it subsides into some other emotion perhaps, whereas happiness is more of a global, you're happy with your health, your relationships, your financial situation, it's a little different. So that the idea that we have these joy moments available to us that that boost our physiologies and our psyches was something that I hadn't really thought about. And when I talk to people about joy, because I talk to people about joy a lot, whether they want it or not,
You're
um,
right.
people feel like it has to be, a vacation or, buying some, a piece of jewelry or some big thing. But in reality, I guess one researcher found that one of the most common joy moments globally is people's first sip of coffee.
Mm.
So, and like even I could see it in your face, like
Mhm.
it's like we know what that smells like and tastes like, and we're waiting for it and anticipating it with joy. So it can be these not it can be these small moments. It can also be big moments, but it can be all
Mhm.
these small moments.
Right. Yeah. And I love me a good latte. So when you said that, I totally could connect with that. Oh, well.
Great.
Awesome. So one of the things that I feel listening to you, it seems like you're actively looking for ways to connect with and complement people in overlooked roles. I know you had sent me an email about that. So what kind of impact have you observed from those interactions, both on yourself and the people that you connect with?
Um, So the effect on me has been I feel uplifted by doing that. And again, going back to Kelly McGonigal's work, one of the another tool that we can use that generally will buoy people, give them a moment of joy, is thanking other people. And so I feel even talking about it, I can feel the warmth around my heart, imagining complimenting somebody or thanking somebody. So I definitely have a reaction just by offering that. Not surprisingly, many, if not most of those interactions result in the recipient, pausing, a lot of times surprised
Hmm.
that they're being noticed and that
Hmm.
they're being appreciated, which is, breaks
Right.
my heart. But what I've gotten from so many of those people is appreciation. And,
Hmm.
you can see it. They're smiling, they're
Right.
thanking me for noticing that they've helped me or something like that. So again, it's that sense of connection that um, I feel good about offering it. Generally, the recipient expresses something that looks like joy or appreciation or gratitude. And so then we both have this sort of reciprocal connection of positivity. So, and it doesn't take anything. It's just, it doesn't really take anything.
Hmm.
But I do notice things like I don't have my nails done, but a lot of folks have because I ruin them with my dancing because I do a lot of inversions on my hands.
Hmm.
Um, but I notice a lot of women just recently, at the hair salon, at the pharmacy. Where was I just today? So have their nails done, and they're generally beautiful. So I
Hmm.
colorful. So I compliment them, and you know, people are so happy to be noticed.
Hmm. Hmm. Very true. Yeah. Well, and I was thinking that you were talking about how um, when you connect, so when you tell someone something and you feel the warmth around your heart, it almost feels like bringing things back to your body because I feel like this is just me, but I feel like a lot of times I'm running on autopilot. And so I'm just going through the motions without really thinking about what I'm doing, how am I impacting people, how do I feel about something. I just do it. And
Right.
so I really like the idea of being intentional with, um, giving compliments and thanking people and realizing how it is impacting my body. I think that that's a really important point for me, at least, just because I think we just move through life and we're not really connected with how it's impacting us.
Yeah, well, I think that's very insightful of you, and aware and um, fabulous. And going back to an earlier question, I mean, kind of saying this anyway, but a lot of times, especially if I'm waiting, if I'm standing in line or something like that, I now look to see, is there something I could say to someone or
Mhm.
do that would be, you know, that could be connection, a positive
Mhm.
connection. But I think you're absolutely right. And the more that you become aware of that kind of, I feel the warmth around my heart, and I also feel this sort of bubbly feeling, which is a common experience of joy. But as I said earlier, some people feel it in their face. It doesn't really matter, however you feel it. If you become aware of it, then you actually are gonna, we actually are drawn to that because
Mhm.
it is giving our physiologies an opportunity to reset
Mhm.
from, anxiety, grief, anger, all of those things. And that's another point that I did want to make, which was surprising to me, but now I totally get it, is that we can experience joy even when we have other things happening. Like you can still enjoy your latte
Mhm.
and and probably pull out of your whatever anger, anxiety, or something like that for a moment,
Mhm.
and that moment allows your brain, your heart rate to the brain chemicals and the heart rate to e- have a little bit more equilibrium. So we can find joy. Can be hard, but it can
Mhm.
find joy when we're angry, depressed, grieving, fearful.
Mhm. Very true. Yeah, so you've shared a lot of things today, and it really sounds like your joy practice is constantly evolving. So, what is one thing you're currently exploring or experimenting within your pursuit of joy, and what are you hoping to discover?
Well, I'm in the process of co-producing a dance concert in the spring, and it's go going to have joy. It has joy as one of the inspirations, and we are inviting the audience to. It is a performance, and we are also inviting the audience to participate in a little movement in a couple of sections because moving together, which I hope maybe you experienced in the Joy Circle when we threw the confetti and.
Hmm.
That's a great way for people to connect, and even at an unconscious level, it's sort of a tribal related
Hmm.
instinct. So we're inviting the audience to engage with us in that way. And I want to keep pushing the envelope on how else can we make this experience as joyful as possible for people. So some of the language around what we're calling the concert, which is Glitter Bomb, no, a joyful explosion of dance and love. And
Mm.
so that's a key way that I'm looking to continue to have this practice evolve. And I'm also just on a daily basis trying to find ways in which I can um, help spread joy. There's this great quote. I'm not a basketball fan, but Steve Kerr, who is the coach of the Golden State Warriors championship basketball team, says it's a civic duty to give others joy.
Mm.
And whether, I was thinking, is it a duty? I don't know whether I'm thinking it's a service to give other people joy. So I'm hoping to continue to find different ways. And in that vein, I really appreciate your having me on here because this is a whole new avenue.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I am so glad that I met you at the library, and I really appreciate you sharing the Joy Circle with everybody.
Thank you so much. And that all good wishes to you on this
Awesome.
adventure.
Thank you so much for